Cliff Franks. Look him up. He's amazing. Cliff Franks, art. He has an Instagram. Really nice guy. And he told me, he's like, man, I like your art. And then I was like, I got butterflies. Other dude, like, someone as skilled as you likes my art. He's like, that's your piece. I was like, yeah, man, that's amazing. As long as you maintain the tip properly, they will last you a long time.
I hope they're watching because you deserve a brand deal. How do you price your art?
Man, that's a very tricky question.
Have you ever done different types of drugs while drawing, and do you see a difference?
No, I have not done that because I'm scared of what I'm going to draw.
How do you become a bigger artist?
Man, it really depends on what you're trying to do. Like, if you want a large social media following for your art, number one, what you got to do is just, man, it really took me very long to draw that. He's a planet eater, it's an entity, and you can tell, like, I wanted him to look massive.
Ben asked, so Ben, he's a rapper, and he asked, can you draw the album his album work? He'll commission you.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm so down. Let me know what you want to do. Yeah, hell yeah, I'm down for that.
What is up, people of the internet? Welcome to the pilot episode of Like a Boss. Today, Like a Boss is a skills building show to where each week I'll bring on an expert at a particular skill, and they'll help you. They'll kind of put you through their mindset and walk you through how they became to expert that skill like a boss. So y'all know I have a couple of people lined up for the coming weeks. I have a photographer if she's interested in scheduling. Next Wednesday I should have a painter like who paints pets. And I should have a marketer who's interested. We need to schedule an appointment. I should have someone. This guy he handcrafts knives, and it was actually shown off on the History Channel.
Man, that is dope.
And a fashion designer, and a acrylic sculptor. So there's a lot coming down the pipes. And if you want to keep that quality content coming, hit like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button. Show us some love. Show us that you want to keep Like a Boss coming through. Show us that you want to keep these skills and experts coming through. So, first off, let me introduce myself. I'm your boy TBG, the Blind Gamesman, and you can catch me on my channel TBG Entertainment. And we have a locally renowned Houston artist with us today, Ruben Montemayor. Ruben, you want to tell them a little about yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Ruben, obviously Montemayor. And so, yeah man, I daylight as a paralegal, but been an artist since I was a little kid. And that's basically what we're going to talk about today. So,
all right, and audience members, throughout this whole stream, if y'all have any questions, just drop it in the comments, and we'll try to address them as they come through. So, first off, let's find out, get to know you more on a personal level. I heard you have a badass collection of Marvel items.
Yeah, so I am a huge nerd, huge nerd. Okay. I've been to Comic-Con San Diego twice. I go to the local cons here in Houston all the damn time. I can't tell you how many I've been to. It's so many. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun. Man, I've collected quite a bit of stuff. I have so much that I cannot display it all. Like, I just have way too much. But here, let me show you guys this at least. So,
we get to check out an artist room today.
This is one of my little cool things that I have here. Let me take a look. This is my little Hall of Armor here. I'm obviously a huge fan of Iron Man.
And Zach here says, ask him about learning Chinese in high school.
I don't remember any of it, if that answers your question. Because I don't remember any of it. No. Like, I'm trying to think if that's the right word for dad, if the one I remember, but that's definitely not. But yes, Zach, I remember learning Chinese in high school.
Oh, oh, sounds like we got some fans, family members, and friends of yours in the house.
Oh, you know.
So okay, let's get into the nitty gritty of things. So what makes you a boss at drawing?
Well, I mean, besides my appearance, what makes me a boss at drawing?
Yes.
Honestly, if you here's the thing. So artists, in my experience, and me being one of them, you're very self-conscious about your art. You can, I surprise myself constantly. Like I'm like, wow, like I drew that, like that's amazing. And like when people react just crazy, it's like, man, thank you, that feels good. But you always kind of doubt yourself, and a lot of times you don't like looking at your own art because you see the flaws in it, or you're like, man, I could have done that better. Like, there's that mistake, because you're the one that made it,
Hmm.
and so you're aware of the things that most people wouldn't be aware of. But what makes me a boss at drawing is that I do it just for me, man.
You do
Like
for the love.
anything I do is like the drawings I make. Like I don't make it for a specific audience. I don't do it. I mean, obviously, yeah. Like people ask me to draw things for them, and like that's different, of course. But like when it's my personal pieces, like when it's my inspirational pieces, I mean, it's for me. Like it's what I feel like put down on paper. And I think that's really what makes the quality of a boss. It's like, yeah, it could sound selfish, but I mean, that's where it's genuine. That's what's so genuine about it. So yeah, does that your question? Does that
Yep.
make me a boss?
Oh, it sounds like you put your own heart into your work because it's for yourself.
Right.
I guess it's a symbol of you loving yourself.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no. Yeah, you're very right.
Oh,
I use like my. Here's the thing. So I kind of feel like I found my voice, although I haven't really
oh,
mastered it just yet. Because you can, you're there's a quote that says your best work is always ahead of you, right?
mm-hmm.
And because like you're just getting started, like you could do better, you could do better. And a good artist once told me this master potter, he's phenomenal in ceramics, absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
He told us one time, he's like, whenever you feel like you make that masterpiece, he's like you keep it and you hold on to it. Yeah, this is a vitamin water, but you get the idea. And you keep it and you put it somewhere where you can look at it every day. You can look at it somewhere where you can see it every day, because you measure your level of skill by being able to repeat that masterpiece.
Uh,
It wasn't just a happy accident, as we call it. It was
uh,
you actually taking the time and developing the skill to replicate that. And then you really hit your next goal when you make something better than that.
I,
And now it's going to move up the same thing again. Now the better piece is the new masterpiece, and you have to top that level.
I,
So,
in no way can I see a drawing being an accident. I guess because with every stroke of the pen, that's a choice that you make. So,
absolutely. And here's the thing. I think what makes it accidents is, besides the reality of media, like you screw up paint, or you didn't mix the right color, or some medias are not as forgiving, especially with like what I work. I work in ink on paper. That's mainly what I do. I do a lot of other things too.
uh,
But ink isn't very forgiving.
also, if then you gotta start all over, or what?
You if you Here's the thing. So if you mess up, then either you make it work or you scrap the whole thing.
Okay.
I found that there's no in between. And I'm sure there is an in between, but for my sake, there's another drawing that I have made, and I messed it up, and that thing is sitting down underneath my desk because I don't want to look at it. I didn't enter it into the show that it was supposed to go into because I hated it that much. It's like, no, it's not good. You can get an idea. I mean, it's complete, but it's not good. Like not in my opinion. And but there's other cases where I've messed up, and you make it work. You work around your mistake, and sometimes it even makes the drawing better.
So how long? You mentioned shows. How long have you been participating in these art shows?
Man, since I was in, I want to say middle school actually.
Oh,
In
geez,
middle
that's a
school,
long time.
yeah, in middle school we'd always enter competitions. We'd always have shows, and one big one was obviously the rodeo. Rodeo always brings around and a competition of art. They have a sculpture and a two dimensional competition, and I mean the winners for those things is photorealism, which is just not what I work. Photorealism is amazing, although amazing it's its own kind of thing. That's what wins. People like seeing art look like photos.
Mm.
like, oh my God, you made that, like you drew that, and it looks like a photo. And so yeah, that's cool and all, but I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong. And I'm a little bitter because like my two-dimensional drawings never won any awards,
Uh,
but one of my sculptures almost did. I did get a ribbon. I did get a medal, but I did not move on to the championship. And they win crazy tons of money on that. But we've been doing this since we were kids.
mm,
And I remember, up in high school, I think one of the really big defining moments, there was this competition, which is so if you're familiar with the way like Texas high schools work, um, or I'm not sure if other schools, in other states do it, but you have a certain crediting body that labels competitions that basically like how do I put it? It they're credited. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. They're credited. And so one of the big ones that was credited for us was this particular competition.
uh,
It wasn't limited to 2D or 3D, but it was just you making an art piece and presenting it. That was the thing. So you can kind of get an idea. There was artists in my classes that were way better than me, way better. They only one of them made it to state. Out of all of the 4 years of high school that I was in, only one made it to state.
uh,
And making it to state is a big deal because some of these kids like they'll work the entire school year on one art piece. And but I did get what at the time was an A or a one. I don't remember exactly how the scoring system worked, but I submitted a sculpture. Sculpture at the time was my big deal. My AP credit was in sculpture,
uh,
and if you take a look at some of my drawings, you see that I work in black ink,
mm,
and I do a lot of line work, a lot of stippling, a lot of bold black lines, and so this particular sculpture, it was a drawing that I had already made. It was already an ink drawing, and I remade it in the form of a sculpture.
mm,
So it was a wire sculpture. It was a demon. It
mm,
was a demon with like horns, and it was like claws, but it was sitting on the floor, and it had its head like sunken down, and it's amazing. I still have it,
mm,
and I made it completely in wire, in several different types and thicknesses of wire, and I had to use so many tools. I cut my hands so many times,
wait, and
and
this was in middle school?
no, this was in high school. This is already
Okay,
in high
high
school.
school, high school.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is actually my senior year. This is my senior
okay,
year.
gotcha.
At this point, my art was already, getting pretty good. It was because that's what I did. I mean, I was the art kid in high school. I was an art kid, so that's what we did. And I worked on it quite a bit because I had two art classes, but my last period was an off period. And my second to last class was an art class, so I would just stay and work. And man, I spent so much time after school and such. But this particular piece, I remember, man, making it was very difficult because I had different thicknesses of wire, and I couldn't use the same wire that I used for the chest and for the head that I could use for the fingers. For the
Uh,
fingers, I had to use much thinner wire. On top of that, I had to use a mesh to make the skin for the wing. And man, I had so many different thicknesses of wire, and I even made the details of the face, and he had facial hair, and they were all different types of wire. And man, and then in the end, I just painted the whole thing black, and it looked like the drawing that I had initially made, and I brought it to life as a sculpture. And man, I remember it speaking because the way this particular competition works, you enter your art piece,
mhm,
you take it with you into a classroom, and then a judge talks to you about it, and then she gives you a score. Um, man, my story about this particular sculpture was so good, it's so deep that my judge cried. She's like, "Wow, that's amazing! Like I can't believe that. Like that's so, it's amazing. Like, and I think that was my big thing is because it really showed that I could work in multiple mediums because I took an amazing drawing and I made it into an amazing sculpture, and they were both the same idea, but they were two completely different art.
well, that's a hell of a talent.
Yeah, and because yeah, like the one thing I've always believed is that for one, like, as kids, we didn't grow up with video games. Like, no, video games were forbidden in my house. So me and my brother, that's all we did. All we did was art. We played with Legos, and we learned instruments. That's what we did for fun. So that's all we did. Now, we're screw ups when we play video games, obviously, but
Yeah,
we didn't have that as kids. So that's all we did, which is probably the reason why we're so smart.
yeah. I guess
And
one of the answers one of the questions I was going to ask you is what do you think attributed to your passion in art? So I guess I got that answer.
it's definitely that. But also, man, I can get into the reasons why I love it so much. For one, it's the it's true expression in visual form, and it's therapeutic. It's amazing. It's just, man, I can't even begin to describe it because it's one of a kind. It's been around. I mean, longer than history's been recorded.
Mhm.
It's always been there, and so it's something that's ever changing, and there's always something new. And for something that's been around so long, for there to always be something new. It just shows you how incredible the human imagination is. And
So you're saying if you were a caveman, you would have drawn evil demons on those on those caves.
yes, like here's the thing: it'd probably be my cave, right? The drone, I put some scary ones, so like for one, like people would be scared of them. They'd approach my cave, but no, you can't go in there. They'd be freaked out. But
If I
yeah,
walked
no,
into your cave, I would have thought it was cursed.
you're definitely walking out and then waking up with a plague.
All right. Well, so let's kind of get into like what the process of it. Like, can you walk us through? Let's say you have a drawing that you want to work on. Give us like what will be going through your mind. What was prior to working on that drawing? Like your mindset, your inspiration, like what you do to get ready.
Okay, so I do quite a bit of things. When I do have time, I'm trying to make more time, obviously. I mean, but I work a full time job and between trying to exercise and everything else, it's difficult. But you make time for things you love, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I do is I get a lot of inspiration when I'm under a lot of stress in life because it's therapeutic and it's a very good release for me. But man, I honestly I dream a lot of the things that I draw. Like I see them in dreams, and like I'll usually wake up in the middle of the night and at least try and get a rough sketch down so I don't forget what I dreamt.
Mm-hmm.
And also, so I start to think. I just start to think, and honestly, a lot of it is when it's initially in my head, it's a very loose idea. It's not. It's not concrete. Like that's exactly what I want it to look like. No, no, no. It's never. It's almost never like that. I don't think I've ever had a drawing. It kind of begins to draw itself, if that means anything. So I have to get into a mental state, and I'm not talking about get high shit.
Oh, actually, that actually was one of the questions. Hold on, let me bring it up right now onto the screen. Have you ever done different types of drugs while drawing, and do you see a difference?
No, I have not done that because I'm scared of what I'm gonna draw. Like my stuff is already pretty scary as it is. If I do that, Lord knows I'm probably gonna summon something on the paper. But no, I haven't done that actually. Because mostly I really don't want to. Like I really, if I'm gonna do something, like I'm not gonna draw because of how much respect I have for it. Although down the road, maybe I will.
You know, I know of this one artist who like he had this one drawing that he wanted to do, and he wanted to try all these different types of drugs, and he would draw the same drawing on each drug to see what the outcome was. I need to find it,
Okay.
send you that link later, but it was pretty awesome, especially the one where he was on Adderall.
Yeah, I've seen this drawing. I've seen this artist actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I think he even went as far as I think he did bath salts for one of the drawings, and that thing was creepy. It was like, I mean, it looked like a child's drawing, but like a really, really mentally disturbed child. Yeah, I seen that one. Like, it was just like, okay, so yeah, you should definitely not do bath salts. um, but back to the subject. So yeah, I have to get into a mental state.
Oh, and Monica said she said she saw that one too.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. Back to the mental state you kind of get into.
So, if you notice, a lot of my drawings, I use a lot of, yeah, I draw demons, but I also draw angels too, and I draw like different, what I like to call like entities or like celestial things, like because I grew up Christian, like I grew up in a church,
Mhm.
and the one thing that's always fascinated me, man, when I was a kid, like we'd read the Bible constantly, and because we go to church every week, my mom is a pastor, and I'm actually ordained myself, and but the book of Revelations in the biblical term, the book of Revelations is supposed to be a descriptive progression of steps to the end of the world, right? The way the world is going to end. And it always fascinated me as a kid how descriptive some of these like verses and some of these things are. Like it talks about a dragon, it talks about it talks about crowns and the specific number of things that are supposed to happen and numbers and whatnot. It's incredible. It's incredible. And just how graphic it can be between something that symbolizes generally just the battle between good and evil, right, and then the final judgment. And so, as a kid like that, man, again, it was always fascinating. Always fascinating. I read the hell out of the book, and we it always I was like, man, this is something because you watch things like like you read things like the Inferno, which is he just the writer describes the different levels of hell, and it's amazing how descriptive they are. Like, and so these kind of things always inspired me. It's like, man, and the one thing too that I draw from a lot is mythology, like Greek mythology, Norse mythology, Egyptology, and whatnot. They're how they made a different god for almost every aspect of life. Like Zeus, the god of thunder, and you have Apollo, the god of the sun, and you have Artemis, the goddess of the moon. And, you have different things like that. And a lot of the things that I draw, they are in their own kind of belief system, if you will. Not say like nobody has to worship them or anything like that, but like they are a lot of them. They're entities for modern day things, like the god of technology or the god of side women, like things like that. The gods, things like that.
So really,
Things that we see in modern times, right?
So really like elements of our society and culture.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's one thing because although we don't necessarily worship these things, they do take up time in our lives. And when you're part of a religion and you take time out of your life and to worship, said God, whatever it is that you worship, then that within itself it's a religion, right? But if it's something that you do every day or it's something that you're dedicated to and it takes up your time, that in a way you're kind of worshiping that specific thing. So the way I see it is, why not draw or imagine what this entity would look like if it was visual, like if it was something that you could see. And so that's where I draw a lot of my inspiration from. They, yeah, I get into a mental state, man. Like I kind of got to get in the zone, and I really don't like being bothered. And usually it's the middle of the night, and like I clicked, and it's like, oh yeah, let's do this. The music I listen to is very particular. Like, don't judge me, but I'll listen to some Tool sometimes, just because the songs are long and like they're intense, and like the lyrics are kind of descriptive sometimes too. I'll listen to some Tool. I'll listen to some EDM too, and sometimes I just want to put on some Black Keys. Like, but I'm definitely always listening to music when I draw, all the time. Every single time that I draw, I'm listening.
Yeah. What about your state of emotion? Does that have any effect on whether you want to draw or like the outcome of your drawing itself?
Yeah, no, absolutely, it does. Man, if I'm really sad, like like it didn't, dating a girl went south, or
It's always a
it's,
girl.
it's, it's not going good. It's not going good, or I'm stressed, but not the good kind of stress.
Uh-huh.
And it's just, sometimes I just get really down, and it definitely affects my drawings. And here's the thing, though, when I usually begin with that mental state, I almost never finish with that mental state. I'm usually happy by the end of it, or I've drawn it off that it man, yeah, I'll almost never finish this. I'm usually pretty happy by the end, or I'm so
Oh,
tired I just go.
oh.
um,
So drawing is kind of your escape from those negative emotions. Would you say?
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say an escape because I'm not running.
Uh,
I would say it's more of a channel.
okay.
You're channeling that energy.
Oh, gotcha.
Because you're facing it head on and you're turning it into something. Not necessarily an escape. It's more of a channel, more of a transformation. If you will.
So you're channeling that negative or positive energy into your art then.
Right. Yes. Yeah, essentially. And but yeah, man, no, my mental state is definitely something I take very seriously. There is this artist, one of my favorite artists. I actually have a print of one of his hanging on the wall right here. His name is Peter Moorback. He specializes in digital drawings.
Okay.
But he begins every single one of those drawings with a sketch, with a organic pencil to paper sketch.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very loose, very very loose, similar to what I do. And he, man, his stuff is just absolutely amazing. He's actually working on a series right now. I think he's pretty much done, where he's drawing like an entity or godlike version of every single one of the zodiac symbols. And he's drawn angels and he's drawn different historical beings, and it's just and they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And he has this set of cards. They're called the emanations, and so each one is one of those things, and you put them together and you make the tree alive. And supposedly you can do some divination with it, but I don't really mess with it. I just like looking at the cards. So in a sense, I kind of meditate. I look at the cards and like, man, I just admire the art. And then I kind of put away the ones that aren't really talking to me at that time, and I look at the ones that are, and I'm like, man, why is it the colors? Is it the lines or the particular form? And then when it clicks, I put them away, and then I just start to sketch. And like, yeah, at this point, I'm listening to music, and in my head, I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to do, but it's very loose. Once again, you never want to go in with an exact idea of what you want. And I think you're doomed to fail if you do that. But if you're a planner and you're OC, well, yeah, more power to you. And so, for me personally, I could not do that because then you're just gonna upset yourself.
So like when you put pen to paper, you basically kind of let, so to say, let the wind take you where it goes.
Yeah, we'll do Pocahontas and we'll sing with the colors of the
Yeah.
wind.
All right.
um,
All right.
yeah.
Let's talk about like kind of the equipment equipment you use.
So the way I usually draw on smooth surface Bristol paper.
Uh-huh.
Here, I actually have a notebook right here. They usually set it like this. I use the Strathmore brand,
Okay.
but I like to use the smooth because the reason why I use the smooth, and it comes in usually two different types of tooth, if you will. It's I like the smooth because the pens I use are very small,
Okay.
and when you use it on the smooth is it's obviously very smooth, but there's a vellum surface as well, and that one is actually it has the natural bumps that you would get from like animal skin, right? The reason why I like using the smooth is because the pens I use are so small that it the ink rolls on a lot smoother on the smooth paper. If you try and use the vellum, you're gonna mess up some of your lines. They're not gonna be as straight as you want.
Oh, Ben here is asking, do you do tattoos?
I don't personally do tattoos, but I have drawn tattoos for people. Yes, yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'd be happy to draw you.
All right.
But, yeah, man, I get that question so much. I'm actually working on one right now for a friend. Yeah, a commission. He wants me to do an Overwatch tattoo. And,
An Overwatch one?
yeah, I'm gonna do.
Oh,
He
that's
wants me to, he
badass.
wants me to do the hammer of what's his name? The big dude.
If anyone in the comment knows, drop it down.
It's gonna bug me. It's the big dude with the hammer, the German guy. I don't remember his name. Reinhardt. That's his name. Reinhardt.
There you go.
Yeah, Reinhardt. And I had to do some research because I don't personally play the game. I played it once and I thought I hated it, but I do like the art of it. It's really cool. So yeah, I'm actually gonna do several pieces for him, and he's gonna kind of choose which one to go off with. And I had to do some research for that and kind of get familiar with what the character is because I really wanted to reflect what the hammer is.
All right.
So yeah, so to answer that first question, yes, I do. I draw tattoos.
All right. Anything else on the equipment you use that you want to touch on?
Yeah. I use mostly Micron pens, which I had a bad experience with them when I used to draw back in high school, and I stopped using them for the longest time. And then, man, I found out they were just really good. Market pens, they're very affordable. They're Micron. They're the Pigma Sensei. They look like this. They're tan, and yeah, they say Micron, and they're the Pigmas. These are good. These are Sakura. They come in all kinds of different thicknesses. If you take a look, like this is an O2, and but that's mostly what I use. I use Copics as well. Copics are good. They're very expensive though. I have my two most expensive ones is pens, not wens. They each cost me, I think, $30 a pop, each pen, and but they're refillable. As long as you maintain the tip properly, they will last you a long time.
I hope they're watching because you deserve a brand deal.
So, yes, that's mostly what I use. I like to when I do my final drawings when I get them ready for shows. I like to once the drawing is finished, I use adhesive and I put them on these things called hardboards. And the hardboards they're made of wood. They're usually panels, and I like it when they're an inch thick. And I paint them black, and then I seal it with gesso, and then I put the adhesive, the paper to wood adhesive, on the back of the drawing, which is always very scary because I'm scared I'm gonna mess it up. And then I mount it onto the board, and then I put books on it, right, or some sort of weight, and I leave it overnight, and it sets. So if you take a look at this drawing that I have right here, like this is how thick the boards are.
Okay? Oh yeah.
This is really ready, like this is ready to go, but the drawing is mounted on here, and yeah, like this is how thick they are. Like I painted this black, you can tell it's spray paint, and they usually use spray paint, but this is afterthought. So this afterthought is another concept in art where it's not necessarily part of the initial art piece, but it's how you present it. Are you going to put it on in a nice vase? Or are you going to put it on some sort of a board? Or, things like that.
So it's kind of like the more the presentation.
Yes.
The packaging of it.
Yeah, because when you want to really market your art, especially in shows, especially in art shows, you really want to make the art piece look good. Someone's going to pay for it.
Yeah.
No one's going to want a couch that doesn't have the legs. Like you're going to want to put the legs on. They may not have been part of the initial design, but hey.
Speaking of paying for it, what one member, Benny Z right here, He asked, how do you price your art?
Man, that's a very tricky question. So usually at the small shows I show at, because I'm not a big time artist, they usually have a cap. So I usually try to only put in as much work as the cap allows. Some of the smaller ones, they won't let you price it for over $100. But some of the bigger shows, they do. They let you price it. I'm still a relatively smaller artist, so my stuff isn't super expensive. But you can do it different ways. Like you can keep track of how many hours you put in. You can log how much time, and you can also like just plain once you've been done with the piece, look at it and be like, okay, this one's going to be expensive, because you definitely don't want to sell something you work really hard on, for pennies on the dollar. You're an artist, and it's like, and maybe money's not your game, but it's your work. Absolutely. So that's actually very tricky. There's to price your work. I price mine differently, but yeah, I usually do it according to the cap of the gallery of the show.
Like, oh, also at the galleries, like you can only sell it at a certain amount, like at the highest certain amount.
Yeah. So it depends on the show. Different shows do it differently. Some they don't have a cap.
Oh, okay.
But some do. And so you need to be aware of that when you put in work into a piece. If you just want to put in the show to get your name out there, and which is good, you can do that too. Well, and maybe not bust your ass on an art piece. Like just do a good one to get your name out there, because it's not worth what they're going to pay for it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we actually have a couple of artists from Houston in the audience. What shows have you in galleries have you been to?
So I have shown at I mostly show at Hardy and Nance, to be honest. Hardy and Nance Studios, they have open call shows every month. Obviously, right now they're not doing it. But yeah, they have different themes every month, and usually it's like the entry fee is like $10 a piece. And man, like they have such a huge following. That studio always gets packed on those nights. And man, I've sold pieces. Like I've sold several pieces at those shows, because usually a lot of people, they have a huge mailing list. So when it's come time for the show, people that come to the shows, they're there to buy art. Like they're there to buy art. And even if you don't sell it at the show, you'll get contacted afterwards. But hey, I'm interested in that piece that you had on display. I've had that happen to me before. And then also, the cool thing about this particular gallery, they still do it. Like I said, it's $10 a piece, which isn't bad at all. And you get to keep the entire sale price, which is almost unheard of with galleries, because they always take a cut. But this particular, it's a studio gallery for smaller artists. Then but you have to handle the transaction, which is fine. Get you the Square app or whatever. Some people just pay you cash, and you handle the transaction, but you get to keep all of it. And if you want them, you have the option. If you don't want to handle the transaction, you can let them do it, and they just take a really small fee. So it's really up to you, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and Monica says she was there, and it was dope.
Yeah, she's been to one of my shows. Yeah, the show was great. It was the black and white show. I'm working on a piece for that one again. They postponed it. That's one of the most popular ones, the black and white show. It's pieces that are strictly black and white, which is what I specialize in. And so, yeah, man, I love showing my pieces at those. Those are always fun. I always meet a lot of really nice artists.
And we have a question from Ben here. He's asking, how do you become a bigger artist?
Man, it really depends on what you're trying to do. I'm not an expert by any means, but here's what I know. I have friends who are big artists, so I know what's up. They told me the trade secrets.
Okay.
So put it in work, man. Like, put it in a ton of work. Like, me personally, the only thing I'm really ashamed of as an artist is that I don't have a larger body of work. I wish I had more pieces, and I had more time to work on pieces. But my art is more of a hobby, really. But I do intend on making it, more profitable, if you will. Got some stuff in the works. But man, like, if you want a large social media following for your art, number one, what you got to do is consistency. You have to be posting constantly, always at the same peak hours. You can Google this, like you can Google them, and then Google the hashtags that you use to gain followers. Posting constantly, and there's even apps that you can download that post for you. Like you have preloaded photos and captions, and you just post them to Instagram, post them to Facebook, whatever social media you use, and you use the proper hashtags. Because in this social media age, getting your art out there, it's not as hard as it sounds. It's just a matter of consistency. You have to post. You have to build the following. You want people to look at your art. Use the proper hashtags, and do not be afraid. Definitely use the location you're in. Use that local side. The reason why I love local art so much is because there's so many incredible art, especially here in Houston. Houston is known for its art. It's amazing. And yeah, go local. That's why you love the local shows. Get your name out there locally. Begin there, and then eventually, move on to other cities, and then get your name out. Get your name out there. Start small though. But definitely, if you want to use social media is an incredible tool. Me, I guess I started an art page. I don't have much on there yet though, but I will, and I'm still working on it. And these are things that that you make it big, and then as far as making it into the elite art world, I wouldn't recommend it because it's very difficult to get into. You have to know very, very wealthy people, and usually they just use your art for tax write-offs, which is why they buy those crappy paintings. And the people who appreciate local art, man, like they deserve gold medals. That's true. That is true. That is true appreciation.
Another question. What are Vince asking? What are your thoughts on graffiti?
I think graffiti is pretty cool, man. It's definitely changed. It's definitely changed quite a bit. It used to be obviously very frowned upon. It's still kind of frowned upon legally speaking, but man, you see it now. When you get an artist to do a mural on your apartment building or your business, it adds property value.
Really?
Yes. This is very much a thing. And like I have a buddy who's a muralist, and he has nonstop jobs. People want him to do murals in their buildings, in their offices, because that's the thing. That particular artist, I don't remember. I think Joe. He did a mural for Facebook out in California.
Oh, I think I remember that.
We can pay you, or we can give you Facebook stock. And he's like, "Well, give me the Facebook stock," and now he's loaded. But yeah, just so you can kind of get an idea. People want really nice murals by artists on their buildings. So I don't know if that's the graffiti question you're asking, but I think graffiti is pretty cool. I've never been personally good at it. Drawing letters will be my downfall because it's so hard. My handwriting's even bad. And but pictures, absolutely. But graffiti, no, I think graffiti is actually really cool. There's definitely still very much a use for it.
All right. And another question: I hear that high class art is a scam. Is that true?
It probably is true, honestly. I've seen several videos like that, honestly, and like I said, it's so difficult to get into. I mean, they use it for tax write-off, which is not a bad thing because you're contributing to local art, which is great. But if you're in that like top dog, like you're shown in like the real museums type of deal, like you're a big deal. You're a really big deal, and you have people up in higher power that know that. Like you're not gonna find like the guy I like, Peter Montemayor. You're never gonna see him in a museum. That's not the type of thing, and that's not what you find. And yeah, I've heard the elite art world is an art scam, which is why some of the art pieces are so crappy. But yeah, it's a game of the elite, which is why like I cannot stress this enough. Go local. Go local. Local art is so important. Definitely go local. But yes, I agree. It probably is a scam.
And Monica goes, it's about who you know and who talks about you.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And yeah, you could make it big. I'm not saying you can't. Obviously, you could. And yeah, it's who you know. It's definitely who you know. And definitely who you talk to. And like, here's the one thing. Like, so you can kind of get an idea. It may be off topic here, but these particular shows, I've met so many different artists of all different backgrounds. This particular artist, Cliff is amazing. He's absolutely amazing. I met him at the Black and White show. He had three ink pieces. I thought I was detailed. And I was looking at his art pieces, and he was telling me that they were pictures from a children's book that he was working on from the Norse version of the King Arthur story. And they were absolutely Cliff Franks. Look him up; he's amazing. Cliff Franks, art. He has an Instagram. Really nice guy, and he draws tattoos for people too. I don't know if he does them or not, but I've seen several tattoos that he's drawn for folks. And he told me, he's like, man, I like your art. And I was like, I got butterflies. I was like, dude, like someone as skilled as you likes my art. He's like, that's your piece. I was like, yeah. He's like, man, that's amazing. I was like, man, that feels nice. But he was telling me that he's an architect full time. He's an architect full time, and he's got kids and he's got a family. But during his lunch breaks and like he'll just switch over to the other desk and work on his drawing, and that's what he do. And his job is cool with that. And and I think he's gonna get his book published. I think he's gonna get his book published if he hasn't gotten it published already. And like I was talking to him, and I was telling him, see, one of my goals as an artist, because I love music so much, is to make a tour poster for one of my favorite bands. It doesn't matter which one. I'd love to design a tour poster, an album cover, doesn't matter. And I told him that. I was like, one of my goals is to do that. And he said, really? And I was like, yeah. He was like, I think I might know someone that does that. I think I can get you guys in touch. And I met this guy at a local art show. And like, he just took me a little closer to achieving one of my goals. And that's what I'm saying. It could be who you know, and it may not be the art world, but it's definitely one of my goals. And you see how important local art is, because you never know who you're sharing a show with. And that's why it's so important to go local. See what I'm saying?
All right. Okay, so it looks like we have some time to kind of delve into one of the drawings that you submitted to me. Was there a particular one that you wanted to look
yeah,
into?
you can put on the Planet Eater.
Okay.
So this is the Planet Eater. Excuse the quality of the photo. I took it. I'm still trying to get a professional photographer to take pictures of that because I want to make prints of it. That's one of my favorite drawings that I've made. So that particular drawing, man, yeah, I'm looking at it. I have it right here in my room. It's amazing. I just, man, it really took me very long to draw that. He's a planet eater. It's an entity, and you can tell like I wanted him to look massive. Like I wanted him to look like he was the size of a planet, and that's I feel like I really did that in this drawing. If you can tell, he's not necessarily something you can like a person.
Mhm.
It's an entity, and his body's coming apart in stone, and he's got human parts to him, but he's not human. He's got 4 arms, but not the way you would think, and part of his body is a planet, and he's got smaller planets all around the rest of his body, and he's got asteroids and all these different stars and all these different things. Also, another thing why I love drawing space is because I'm from Houston, we're Space City, by the way. There's your little Easter egg, and yeah, man, this particular drawing, it took me so long, but I'm so proud of it. And I thought, like, what could I do for the rest of the drawing in the background? And because there was so much already going on, I wanted to go simple. So I did. I drew the lines. They're the star charts. Each one of those symbols is one of the zodiacs. And not that I believe in zodiac or such, but it's just, and it really is truly amazing. I actually have someone that wants to buy that art piece, and I have an offer for it. I haven't given it to them yet because I want to photograph.
And Monica goes, "What am I then? A potato?"
My cousin.
And Ben asks, so he's a rapper, and he asks, "Can you draw the album his album work? He'll commission you."
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm so down. Let me know what you want to do. Yeah, hell yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Just let me know what you want to do, and we can talk about. I can work in color too. I mostly work in black and white, but I can work in color too.
So he dropped his link down in the comments, so you can check it out later.
Yeah, man, I'll hit you up. We can talk about it.
And so before we go, I have one last question. Do you have any tips or advice for those who are looking to get into drawing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or want to improve their career in drawing?
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not a big time. I'm a boss. I'm a self-proclaimed boss.
I'm pretty sure I pronounced you boss a couple years ago.
Yeah, when you gave me my course.
Yeah.
But advice.
Oh, a question. One question that's probably related. How do you improve your art skills? How do you continuously improve your art? Yeah.
Continue to work. It's practice. It's absolutely practice every time. The reason why the folks that are so good at their instruments is because they practice almost every day. Continue to draw. And if you feel like you've plateaued, there's nothing wrong with maybe trying a different media or looking up YouTube videos. Try a new technique. There's so many videos out there. Get on Instagram and like find an artist that's kind of similar to something you want to do, and imitate them a little bit. Like, oh, they kind of do it like this, or what do they do? Like, find their process, maybe try it, and then modify it to make your own. If there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In the art world, there's a lot of different medias, but you can always make something that's your own. You can always make something that's original. And yeah, man, if you plateau, maybe it's time to take a break. Maybe take a minute and then come back to it. Or watch some videos, watch some Netflix, go drink with your friends, whatever you want to do. But definitely come back to it. Come back to it later when your mind's a little bit clearer. The way you improve is just continuously doing it. Just keep on doing it and be bold. Be absolutely bold. Take those risks because a lot of the times they'll be rewarding at the end. They'll be very rewarding. And you've learned something. You've learned to deal with a new media, or you've put something in your drawings that you didn't used to before because you were scared. But you find that they've made them better. And it's just, things like that. Be bold.
Oh, so Benny Z here, he's an artist himself. I've actually watched him draw while we were on Zoom together.
Nice. That's what's up.
Yeah. And Monica here says people can commission you through your OnlyFans.
Yeah. Maybe not OnlyFans just yet. Maybe a Patreon for it. But I need to build a good body of work before I get to that level. But yeah, the artist, same artist, Peter Moorbacker, he actually has a Patreon. And he does videos of him making the drawings, and he talks you through it and everything, which is it's amazing, pretty cool. So yeah, no, all jokes aside, not a bad idea.
All right. So all right, let's close it down. Where can everyone find you online?
So I have an Instagram page. I have my personal Instagram, but you can go to my art page. I don't have much there yet. It's Deuce Tex Machina. It's a play on words like a Deuce Ex Machina, but it's instead of X, it's text, text. And so text machina, it's DEUS underscore TEX underscore machina, MACHINA. But yeah, feel free to follow me and shoot me up if you want a DM. Or shoot me a DM if you want me to work on it.
All right. All right. All right. Thank you for coming on today, Ruben. Thank you for everyone who commented. Thank you for everyone who joined the audience. So y'all know I have a couple of people lined up for the upcoming weeks. I have a photographer if she's interested in scheduling. Next Wednesday, I should have a painter like who paints pets. From and I should have a marketer who's interested. We need to schedule an appointment. I should have someone. This guy he handcrafts knives, and it was actually shown off on the History Channel.
Man, that is dope.
And a fashion designer. And a acrylic sculptor. So there's a lot. There's a lot coming down the pipes.
Nice.
So if y'all want to get notified for whenever I upload these videos, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, share, follow, all of that good stuff. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, see y'all. Hopefully, same time next week. I'm trying to get like a schedule down, but next Wednesday at 6 will be the pet painter.
All right, buddy. We'll see you soon.
All right, later.
All right.